Salutations, respected viewers. I am George from Ireland. So here I am in Kingston upon Thames, which is an area of London. So not to be mixed up with Kingston, Jamaica. That's why we add in the upon Thames, or indeed Kingston upon Hull, which is a city in northern England. So look behind me at this mock Tudor building here, and some images of various monarchs carved into the wood. Now, is it too bright? Is it too dark? No, bright. I'd make it darker, a bit more colour contrast. Then you'll see it. The brightness stands out of this knightly figure with that royal coat of arms, and this queen over here, Elizabeth I. This chap's going to be Edward III, that great warrior king, as in fighting in starting the 100 Years' War unjustly. And then Henry, doesn't say which Henry it's supposed to be. So 1909, this building went up. You can see the three fish, that coat of arms, a symbol of Kingston upon Thames. And lower down, you see where the shop Anthropology, just above that, more coats of arms, various kings of Wessex, the Anglo-Saxon kings. Now, Kingston upon Thames is not called Kingston at random. Why? Because if you go back to, well, say the 8th century AD, by then the kingdom of Wessex had clearly emerged, which was southwest England, which came all the way up here, not very far west. And because England was about a dozen different kingdoms at the time, the Angles and Saxons had settled here in the Jutes. Angles and Saxons had completely merged through intermarriage, the Jutes sort of being absorbed into them. But anyway, there were several different kingdoms. Wessex was to the West Saxons. The counties we'd now call, I suppose, Surrey, Hampshire, perhaps Berkshire, Devon, Dorset, Cornwall, Wiltshire, maybe even Cornwall. So southwestern England. And that's why the sort of Wessex Tales by Thomas Hardy are set there. But anyway, the kings of Wessex were crowned here, near this spot. And I can show you later the stone upon which they were supposedly crowned outside Kingston Town Hall. Kingston upon Thames is no longer a separate borough. It's been absorbed into another one. But anyway, and then it says, near this spot were crowned the following kings. And from the year 902 AD, 6 kings of Wessex were crowned here. Now, eventually they became kings of England. So they expanded their realm to about the whole of England, obviously fiercely contested by the other Anglo-Saxon kingdoms. So that was that. And then they would sometimes sort of falsely backdate their kingship over the whole of England to that. Of course, in northern England, regard these people as southern invaders. Anyway, and then you see some more images of them like Athelstan and so on put up in 1929, and King George V visited here in 1927 to confer an honour on the borough for that. So remember how the Danes invaded from the mid-9th century AD. And 871, Alfred the Great, who was from this Wessex dynasty, he became king. Obviously, they trace their ancestry back to Egbert, the first king of Wessex. England had been semi-united until the Danes came along, but then they lost control of that, of much of it. There's the Danelaw, which is northern England and eastern England, controlled by the Danes, as in Danish law prevailed. English law, its writ did not run there, and eventually the Anglo-Saxons had to pay Dane geld to persuade the Danes not to invade the remainder of the country. So that was that. But they didn't always hate each other, and sometimes there were truces, and sometimes there was intermarriage. Going on to Harold Godwinson, he was half Danish, for instance. What else should I point out about this? Yeah, so the stone they were crowned on is over there, partly because they'd lost control of London for a while. So it's a very historic and fascinating place, this borough, Kingston upon Thames, which is traditionally regarded as part of the county of Surrey. But in 1889, Greater London was created, and so it was this bit of Surrey was taken out of the county of Surrey and made part of Greater London. So, but you will still people say Kingston upon Thames is in Surrey, which is debatable. Part of the historic county of Surrey, and there's, well, I could show you in a minute, the old Kingston Town Hall, which is now really just a tourist information centre, and then there's a new Kingston Town Hall, which is built in the 1930s, which has got the stone outside upon which they were crowned. You'll see here a bit of a Christmas market where people are getting up late, it being New Year's Day. All right, from this angle, it's not a great angle to see it. You see maybe the brown stone tower in the background. That's a bit of the new town hall, but I might film it in more detail later. So this German idea of a Christmas market, and look at this, it's not exactly a crib, but 3 wise men. Do we have the infant Jesus? I'm not sure. Anyway, so, and then here we have Kingston, the old town hall with the image of Queen Anne in front of it. Perhaps her royal personage deigned to pay a visit to this humble borough. Okay, so I'm not sure they're dismantling it yet. I don't think so. So that is a little bit about Kingston upon Thames. It's got a number of very historic churches. The Lovekin Chapel, which dates back to the 14th century, right beside Kingston Grammar School and Tiffin School. And I think Tiffin School gets the use of it. I'm not sure why it's called Tiffin. It was founded by 1880 it was. Isn't that the Hindi word for lunch or something like that? All right, so that's probably enough about Kingston upon Thames. So do pay it a visit, and you can have a delightful perambulation beside the bank of the River Thames. It's very close to Hampton Court Palace, for instance, Bushy Park, which is enormous, which has got a herd of fallow deer as well. And I'm just noticing they still haven't taken down the poppies from Remembrance Day, almost 2 months on here at All Saints Church. Okay, so I shall switch it off now and say goodbye from Kingston upon Thames.